Alright guys, in the last video we went ahead and created our route files so that we don't have an app.js file full of all those routes. So what I want to do now is create our forms, our login form, our registration form, and also add them to the nav bar. Okay, so inside the views, we're going to go and we're going to create a new folder inside views called users. Okay, and then inside users, we're going to create a file called login.handlebars. Didn't spell that right. What did I say? Handlebars. Handlebars. And we're going to create another one called register.handlebars. Okay, so let's start with the login form. Now we're going to be using some Bootstrap syntax here, so let's create a row. Okay, so row for the grid system. And what I want to do is I want this to be a 6-column div, and I want it to be pushed to the middle, so it's kind of like, you know, kind of narrow, like any login form. So let's put a class of call-md-6, and we're also going to use a class of mxauto, which makes it margin auto on the right and left, so pushes it to the middle. Okay, and then inside there we're going to have a card and card body, and inside there we're going to have an h3. Let's give it a class of text center, and we're going to say account login. Okay, and then let's see, we're going to have a form, and I'm not going to add the method and all that stuff yet. I just want to get the actual form UI. So let's create a div with the class of form group, and inside here we're going to have a label. Okay, this is going to be for the email. We're not going to have a username, we're just going to use the email. And then let's put an input type of we'll put type of email, and let's see, we're going to add a class of form control, which is a Bootstrap class, to just make this look a little better. And let's see, we're going to add, let's add a required. I'm not going to go through the hassle of adding server-side validation. I'm just going to stick to the front end HTML5 JavaScript validation. You can add that if you want. I mean, sometimes in this course you're going to see me do things where I implement it in one spot but not another, and that's because I don't want to be repetitive. All right, if you want to go back and you want to perfect the application and add that stuff everywhere, you can do that, but I don't want to be too repetitive. Okay, because there's already a bunch of stuff that I have no choice with and I have to be repetitive. So let's go ahead and create the password field. So I'm going to copy this form group div, and we'll change this to password. We'll change the for to password and the type. All right, and then underneath that div we're going to put a button with the type of submit. All right, so let's give this, we'll say submit, and let's give it a class of BTN and BTN primary. All right, so let's save it. And now what we need to do is we need to go to our routes. So we want to go to, where is it? Routes, users, and go to our login route. And then instead of saying send, we want to do render. All right, we want to render users/login. Okay, so now we'll go to users/login, and there's our login form. Now I do have a little logo that I created that I'm going to add. You guys don't have to add it if you don't want. It's just something I created in Photoshop, but you'll find that in the resource files for this lecture. But I'm going to just grab it real quick. Oh, and one thing that we should have done a while ago actually is set up our public folder for any public assets like CSS files, images, front-end JavaScript, things like that. So what I'm going to do is create a new folder here. and we're going to call this public. Where'd it go? We'll call it public. And let's create a folder inside there called CSS. And I'm just going to create a local CSS file called style.css. Even if we don't use it, it's good to just have. And then let's also create a folder called img for any static images. All right, now in order for that public folder to work, to be a static folder, we have to go back to our app.js, and we're going to go ahead and bring in the path module, which is a core Node.js module. We actually don't have to install it, we can just require it. All right, and it's just used to do things with file paths, like join paths and stuff like that. All right, and then there's one line we need to put. So let's see, let's put this, I guess we'll put it like right below the body parser. We'll say static folder. And this is just basically a piece of middleware, so we'll say app.use, and we want to say express.static, and we want to pass in here path.join. So this basically just joins two paths together. We're going to take the current directory. We can use _dir name, and then we're going to put a comma, and then the name of the folder we want to use, which is public. So what this line does is it sets the public folder to be the express static folder. So let's save that, and now we should be able to use any static assets in that folder. So what I'm going to do is grab the image and put it inside of there. So let me see, we're going to open up public img, and then I'm just going to grab it real quick. So it's just basically just something really quick. It's just a stock icon that I got from, I think, iconfinder.com, and I just put a VJ in it for VidJot. Okay, so that's our logo. Now if we go to our login view, so users login, and let's go right above the H3 where we have the account login, and we're just going to insert that image. All right, so we'll say image source, and since it's in the public folder, we should be able to just say /img/logo.png like that. Let's save it and reload. Okay, now I want to set the size of it, so let's see, we're just going to go into the CSS. So let's go into our style CSS, which is in public, style CSS, and we'll say, actually, you know what, let's give that image a class. So we'll say class equals logo, and then we'll go back into our style sheet and we'll say .logo. And let's set the width to 130 pixels, and we'll set the margin to auto. Alright, now it's not going to work just yet because we haven't linked this style sheet. So what we need to do is go to our main layout, main.handlebars. We'll go under the Bootstrap CDN link here, and we'll put in our own link to /css/style.css and save. Let's reload, and now it works. All right, so now our style sheet is linked. So that's our login page. Okay, looks pretty good. So for the register, it's going to be just about the same thing. So I'm going to copy everything that's in the login and put that inside register. And then I'm just going to change this to, let's say, account register, and we're just going to add two things. We want a name, and we also want a confirm password field. So let's copy this first div with the form group and paste right above it, and we'll change this to name. We'll change this to name, and we'll change the type to text. Okay, that'll be required as well. And then we'll copy the password div, form group, and let's say confirm password, and we'll change the 4 to password 2. Let's change the actually, you know what, we need to have names here. Yeah, each input needs a name as well. I forgot about that. So let's say name equals name. Okay, this one here will be name equals email. This one will be name equals password. And this one will be name equals password 2. Alright, so let's go back to our login form and let's add the names here as well. So this one will be email and this one will be password. Alright, we'll save. Now let's go back to our user routes file, and instead of saying res.send register, we're going to say res.render, and it's going to be users/register. Alright, so now let's try to go to that route. And there we go. So there's our register page. So now what I want to do is add these to our menu bar up here. So we're going to go to our login, our nav bar, which is in the partials. So partials nav bar. And let's go right before. We're going to go in this second UL, which has our drop down, and we're going to put in an li here. Let's give it a class of nav item. Alright, and then we'll put an a tag. It's going to go to users/login. Actually, it should be a slash here. And let's see, it's going to need a class of nav link. And then in here, we're just going to say login. Alright, and then we're going to do the same thing with the register. Paste that in. We'll change this to register. And let's save. Reload. Now we have a login page and a register page. Alright, so later on, once we have authentication, if we log in, we're no longer going to see the login and register. Also, if we're not logged in, we're not going to see this video ideas. Alright, but that's access control. That's later on after we actually do the login. Let's get rid of that. Alright, so in the next video, what we're going to do is we're going to set up a model for our user. Just like we have a model for ideas, we need a model for our users, and it's going to include the schema. Okay, so schema will have a name, an email, and a password. Once we do that, we can add the functionality to register a user and then ultimately create a local login strategy to complete our authentication. Alright, so I will see you in the next video.